This is now video number 4 para sa mga members ng Easy Law Online. Sa video na to, pag-uusapan natin ang rules on expedited procedures in the first level courts. This is Administrative Matter number 0887SC, issued on March 1, 2023. Dito sa rules on expedited procedures in first level courts, there are two subjects. Una, yung summary procedure cases. Yung pangalawa, yung small claims cases. Under summary procedure cases, merong dalawang klase, civil cases and criminal cases. Under small claims, merong isa, civil cases only. So, pag-usapan natin ngayon yung cases under summary procedure, specifically civil cases. Ano-ano ang mga ito? Letter A, forcible entry and unlawful detainer cases. Okay. Now, ito ay talagang nasa jurisdiction ng first level courts regardless of the amount of damages or unpaid rentals sought to be recovered. Halimbawa, for the sake of illustration, umabot ng 5 million pesos ang unpaid rentals. The jurisdiction over the subject matter will not be determined by the amount of unpaid rentals. Rather, it is the nature of the case. Why? Because sabi ng batas, forcible entry and unlawful detainer cases should be within the jurisdiction of first level courts. Kaya lang, yung attorney's fees to be awarded for forcible entry and unlawful detainer cases shall not exceed 100,000 pesos. Okay. So that's the first kind of case. Ang pangalawa naman, letter B, all civil actions except probate proceedings, admiralty and maritime actions, and small claims falling under Rule 4 hereof, where the total amount of the plaintiff's claim does not exceed 2 million pesos, exclusive of interest, damages of whatever kind, attorney's fees, litigation expenses, and costs. Now, itong nakalagay, except probate proceedings, admiralty, and maritime actions. This will come under ordinary or regular procedure. Hindi yan pwedeng maging summary procedure because of the nature of the case. Sa probate proceedings, ipoprove yung validity, authenticity, genuineness, and due execution of the last will and testament. Ipoprove din sino yung mga heirs ng decedent. So, hindi yan pwedeng maging mabilisan, which is what a summary procedure is all about. There has to be evidence presentation. And so, also the same goes for admiralty and maritime actions. Now, dun sa amount na to, 2 million pesos maximum. Huwag kayong mako-confuse. Pag may figure na binigay ang rules or administrative matters, palagi yun yung highest, yun yung cap. So, do not think that less than 2 million yung jurisdiction. It is a maximum of 2 million pesos. I'd like to point out, yung last clause nito nakalagay, exclusive of interest, damages of whatever kind, attorney's fees, litigation expenses, and costs. Ito, for purposes of determining the jurisdiction of the court, i-exclude yung interest, damages, attorney's fees, litigation expenses, and costs. Okay, but this will be considered in computing the filing fee. Now, nakalagay din dito, exclusive of damages of whatever kind. Pero syempre, if the complaint is for damages, okay, then the case will also consider damages in computing the jurisdictional amount. So, tingnan mo, yung letter C nakalagay. Complaints for damages where the claim does not exceed 2 million pesos exclusive of interest and cost. So, makikita mo, if it's a damages action, syempre, isasama yung damages. That will be included in determining whether the claim is within the maximum of 2 million pesos. Pero in this case, if it is an action for damages, what will be excluded in determination of subject matter jurisdiction is the interest and costs. However, for purposes of computing the filing fee, interest and costs will be considered. Now, let's go to letter D. Cases for enforcement of barangay amicable settlement agreements and arbitration awards where the money claim exceeds 1 million pesos. So ito, kapag barangay amicable settlement, kapag arbitration, 1 million pesos maximum. Okay? Maximum. So, yan yung dapat yung tandaan ng mga amounts for first level courts. And then it also states, no, to continue, provided that no execution has been enforced by the barangay within 6 months from the date of the settlement or date of receipt of the award, or from the date the obligation stipulated or adjudged in the arbitration award becomes demandable. Okay? So, doon naman tayo sa next. Cases, letter E, cases solely for the revival of judgment of any of the first level courts pursuant to Rule 39, Section 6. So this refers to cases which have already been adjudicated, may judgment na. Okay, kaya lang hindi na execute. So kailangan mag-file ng revival of judgment. Now letter F. The civil aspect of a violation of Batas Pambansa Bilang 22, the Bouncing Checks Law, if no criminal action has been instituted therefore. Should a criminal action be later instituted for the same violation, the civil aspect shall be consolidated with the criminal action and shall be tried and decided jointly under the rule on summary procedure. So, ito, civil aspect of a BP 22 case. Alright? That is included. Kung walang criminal action na na-institute, kasi hindi ba ang rule, if there is a criminal case, the criminal action takes priority. Kaya, pero dito medyo iba yung rule ha. So, nakalagay doon sa second sentence. So, there is already a civil case. Tapos nakalagay, should a criminal action be later instituted for the same violation, the civil shall be consolidated with the criminal. Okay? And they shall be tried and decided jointly under the rule on summary procedure. Sa ordinary proceedings, kapag may criminal aspect at may civil aspect, ang priority nasa criminal case. Masususpend yung civil aspect. Pero pagdating sa BP 22, hindi masususpend. Yung civil mako-consolidate sa criminal. And then, the case will be decided under summary procedure. So, tatandaan ninyo, iba ang rule pagdating sa BP 22 under summary procedure. Now, dun sa, okay, may nakalagay dito, all other cases not included herein shall be governed by the regular rules of procedure. Okay. Now, sa criminal cases naman, ito yung coverage ng summary procedure. Number 1, violations of traffic laws, rules and regulations. Number 2, violation of the rental law. Number 3, violations of municipal or city ordinances. Number 4, violations of BP 22. So, under the criminal aspect, okay, nandyan yung BP 22. Number 5, all other criminal cases where the penalty prescribed by law for the offense charged is imprisonment not exceeding 1 year. So, maximum of 1 year. Or a fine not exceeding 50,000 pesos or both, regardless of other imposable penalties, accessory or otherwise, or of the civil liability arising therefrom. Okay? So, tatandaan, other criminal cases, maximum penalty prescribed by law, okay, 1 year or below. Maximum fine prescribed by law, 50,000 pesos or below. Okay? And then, to continue, in offenses involving damage to property through criminal negligence under Article 365 of the Revised Penal Code, this rule shall govern where the imposable fine does not exceed 150,000 pesos. Okay, so ang mga figures na tatandaan nyo dito ha, for other criminal cases, maximum imprisonment of 1 year, maximum fine of 50,000 pesos. Pero kung criminal negligence like reckless imprudence resulting in damage to property, for example, maximum imposable fine of 150,000 pesos. Doon naman sa next paragraph, importante din to for purposes of determining jurisdiction. If the prescribed penalty consists of imprisonment and or fine, paano mong i-reckon or i-determine yung jurisdiction? Ang magiging basis mo is imprisonment. Okay? The penalty of imprisonment prescribed by law. Now, kung hindi ito, if there are other cases na hindi sakop dun sa mga na-enumerate, then this will be governed by the regular rules of procedure. Section 2 talks about non-applicability. When do these rules not apply? It does not apply to civil cases where the plaintiff's cause of action is pleaded in the same complaint with another cause of action subject to the regular procedure. So, for example, lumampas sa jurisdictional amount yung claim ng plaintiff. Meron siyang joinder of causes of action. Pero dun sa other cause of action is within the jurisdiction of the within the summary procedure jurisdiction. Ang mangyayari, masusunod yung regular procedure. And it also provides, nor does it apply to criminal cases where the offense charged is necessarily related to another criminal case subject to the regular procedure. So, madali lang naman to tandaan. Kung yung other case ay magfo-fall within regular procedure, then the regular procedure shall apply. Now, pag-usapan naman natin yung subject matter jurisdiction ng small claims cases. Maximum of 1 million pesos, exclusive of interest and cost. So, ano ba yung small claim? Ang sabi dito, a small claim is an action that is purely civil in nature, where the claim or relief raised by the plaintiff is solely for the payment or reimbursement of a sum of money. It excludes actions seeking other claims or reliefs aside from payment or reimbursement of a sum of money and those coupled with provisional remedies. Makikita ninyo, pagdating sa small claims, it is a civil only and only when a sum of money is being claimed for two purposes, payment or reimbursement. Oras na may ibang remedy na hinihingi ang plaintiff, it will not be a small claim anymore. Kasi itong small claim, madalian talaga ito. There will only be one hearing, there will be no evidence presentation, pero all documents, summary, the complaint and the answer, okay, the statement of claim and the response, yun ang i-consider ng court together with all the supporting documents submitted by the parties. Mabilisan lang siya. Okay, so kapag kailangan ng evidence presentation, lalong-lalo na kung may provisional remedy, hindi siya pwedeng bumagsak sa small claim. Even if the amount does not exceed 1 million pesos. Okay, so titingnan ninyo, ano ba yung, i-analyze ninyo mabuti, ano bang klaseng claim ito. The claim or demand may be for money owed under any of the following. Itong apat lang. Number 1, contract of lease. Number 2, contract of loan and other credit accommodations. Number 3, contract of services. Or number 4, contract of sale of personal property, excluding the recovery of the personal property unless it is made the subject of a compromise agreement between the parties. So, dapat, simpleng-simple lang yung kaso, madaling i-decide based on the documents presented by the parties. Kung may complication siya, kailangan ng mga ebidensya, hindi siya magiging small claim. Now, kung kailangan ng extensive evidence presentation, kasi naman, sa small claim, may ebidensya naman na pre-present kasama ng mga pleadings na ifa-file ng parties, plaintiff and defendant. Now, letter B, the enforcement of barangay amicable settlement agreements and arbitration awards where the money claim does not exceed 1 million pesos provided that no execution has been enforced by the barangay within 6 months from the date of settlement or date of receipt of the award or from the date the obligation stipulated or adjudged in the arbitration award becomes due and demandable. Tatandaan ninyo under letter B, meron ng kasunduan sa barangay o kaya nagkaroon ng arbitration, meron ng kasunduan, tapos the amount is not more than 1 million, hindi pa na-execute within 6 months from the date of settlement. Yun ang importante. So, it doesn't mean na porque may barangay amicable settlement agreement or may arbitration award, small claim na yung kaagad. Dapat hindi siya muna na-enforce within 6 months. Punta tayo sa mga importanteng procedural points sa civil cases. Dahil nga mabilisan ng procedure na to, may mga pleadings and motions and petitions na prohibited, hindi pwedeng i-file. Letter A, in civil cases, a motion to dismiss the complaint or statement of claim, and in criminal cases, a motion to quash the complaint or information. These are not allowed, except on the ground of lack of jurisdiction over the subject matter or failure to comply with the requirement of barangay conciliation. Palagi, pagdating sa lack of jurisdiction over the subject matter, pwede ito palaging i-file. Kasi nga, if the court continues to hear and decide a case, even if there is no jurisdiction over the subject matter, the decision will be null and void, and it will just be a waste of time and resources of the court and the parties. Now, in all other situations, hindi pwedeng mag-file ng motion to dismiss. The only other ground is failure to comply with the requirement of barangay conciliation, kasi nga mandatory yan in civil cases. B, hindi rin pwede ang motion to hear and or resolve affirmative defenses. C, hindi rin pwede ang motion for bill of particulars. D, hindi rin pwede ang motion for a new trial or for reconsideration of a judgment on the merits or for reopening of the proceedings. E, petition for relief from judgment. F, motion for extension of time to file pleadings, affidavits, or any other paper. G, petition for certiorari, mandamus, or prohibition against any interlocutory order issued by the court. J, motion to declare the defendant in default. That's I. Letter J, dilatory motions for postponement. Any motion for postponement shall be presumed dilatory unless grounded on acts of God, force majeure, or physical inability of a counsel or witness to personally appear in court as supported by the requisite affidavit and medical proof. Napaka-importante to. As a general rule, hindi pwedeng mag-file ng motion for postponement. Pwede lang in certain situations. Number 1, acts of God. Ano yan? Yung mga calamities, mga bagyo, typhoon, flooding. O yung force majeure naman, yung aksidente, o may nangyaring out of control ng tao, ng parties. And then physical inability of counsel or witness to personally appear. So dapat physical inability, yung hindi na siya talaga makapunta sa court. And this refers to counsel or witness. And kailangan may affidavit and medical proof. Letter K, rejoinder, hindi pwede. Letter L, third-party complaints. Letter M, motion for and complaint in intervention. Letter N, motion to admit late judicial affidavits, position papers, or other evidence, except on the ground of force majeure or acts of God. Letter O, motion for judicial determination of probable cause in criminal cases. The reason for all of this is that magpapatagal lang ito sa proceedings, which is not the intention of the law. And pagdating naman sa motion for determination of probable cause, this is automatically done by the judge when the judge receives the complaint or the initiatory pleading. Meron din provision dito tungkol sa video conference. And to me, this is a good outcome of the pandemic because video conferencing saves time, money, and effort and gets cases to move quite fast. So as far as practicable, if the court finds that the conduct of a video conference hearing will be beneficial to the fair, speedy, and efficient administration of justice, the court, on its own initiative or upon motion, may set the case for a video conference hearing at any stage of the proceedings. I would like to emphasize, Sino ang magdedetermine kung magkakaroon ng video conference? Either the court on its own initiative or upon motion of any of the parties. And when can this be filed? At any stage of the proceedings. So ano-anong pleadings ang allowed sa summary procedure? 4 lang. Okay? Complaint, compulsory counterclaim, cross-claim pleaded in the answer, reply. At lahat ng mga pleadings na ito at saka submissions dapat ay verified. Dapat ay under oath. Why? Kasi nga, hindi na magkakaroon ng trial. The document submitted will stand as evidence being under oath. May provision din dito tungkol sa barangay conciliation. All cases requiring prior referral to barangay conciliation must contain a statement of compliance. Otherwise, the complaint shall be dismissed without prejudice on the court's initiative or upon motion by the defendant and may be refiled only after the requirement has been complied with. Hindi naman sa hindi na pwedeng ituloy yung kaso kung walang barangay conciliation, pero dapat dumaan doon. Kaya ine-encourage ng court ang barangay conciliation. Actually, hindi lang ine-encourage, it is mandated, so that the case may be resolved quickly if there can be an amicable settlement at the barangay level. Kung wala, then the complaint may be refiled. Now, what the complaint shall state? Letter A, the names of the affiants whose judicial affidavits will be presented to prove the plaintiff's claim. The judicial affidavits shall be attached to the complaint and form an integral part thereof. Sa umpisa pa lang, dapat meron ng judicial affidavit na naka-attach sa complaint. Ito yung direct testimony ng witnesses ng plaintiff. Nakalagay din dito, judicial affidavits not attached to the complaint shall not be considered. Kaya dapat, sa umpisa pa lang, kumpleto na. Pati yung mga JA ng lahat ng mga witnesses na gustong ipresenta ng plaintiff. Letter B, dapat nakalagay din, summary of statements in the judicial affidavit. Bukod sa i-attach mo yung JA, dapat meron kang allegation dun sa iyong complaint. Ito yung pangalan ng witness at ito yung ita-testify ng witness na ito. All of the witnesses must be named and the summaries of their JAs must be stated. Letter C, documentary and other object evidence in support of the allegations in the complaint. Lahat ng ebidensya, whether documentary or real evidence, dapat kasama sa complaint. D, whether the plaintiff consents to service by electronic means or facsimile, or if so, the plaintiff's email addresses or facsimile numbers for such purposes. Yun. Ito rin isang magandang development kasi pwede nang magkaroon ng service to the other party without having to do it personally or by mail. Pwedeng email, pwedeng by fax machine, basta may prior approval ng court. Kaya nakalagay, whether the plaintiff consents, dapat ilagay ng plaintiff doon sa complaint na pumapayag siya ng service through electronic means. Now, pag-usapan naman natin yung summons. Summons. Within 5 calendar days from receipt of a new civil case, if the court determines that the case falls under this rule, the court shall direct the branch clerk of court to issue summons to the defendant, stating clearly that the case shall be governed by the rule on summary procedure. So, titignan ng judge yung complaint kung i-determine niya, does this really fall as a small claim or not? Kung small claim siya, agad-agad papa-issue siya ng summons to the defendant. At nakalagay dun sa summons that this is a rule on summary procedure para mahanda yung defendant sa mabilisang proseso ng pagre-resolba ng kasong ito. However, if from the examination of the allegations in the initiatory pleading and such evidence as may be attached thereto, a ground for the outright dismissal of the case is apparent, the court may dismiss the case on its own initiative. So, hindi na kailangan mag-intay ng motion to dismiss. Kaya nga, bawal ang motion to dismiss except for lack of subject matter jurisdiction. Pero pwedeng i-dismiss ng court outright upon examining the initiatory pleading on any of the 9 grounds. Ito yan, ano? Number 1, syempre, lack of subject matter jurisdiction. Number 2, improper venue. Now, take note, although objections to venue may be waived, the court may still dismiss motu proprio on this ground. Under regular procedure, this is an affirmative defense. Pero under small claims, hindi mo pwedeng erase ito as an affirmative defense because you cannot file a motion to dismiss. Pero malalaman na ito ng judge. Now, number 3, lack of legal capacity to sue. This is an affirmative defense under regular procedure, but this can be a basis for a motion, rather not a motion. This may be a basis for an outright dismissal of the case motu proprio. Now, number 4, litis pendentia, meaning there is another case pending, the same nature, the same cause, the same parties. Number 5, res judicata. Ito naman yung the issues have already been resolved in a previous case between the same parties with the same cause of action. Number 6, prescription. Of course, if a case has already prescribed, it cannot be filed. Kaya nga, this is a basis for motu proprio dismissal by the court. 7, failure to state a cause of action. O makikita mo naman sa allegations ng complaint if there is a cause of action or not, if all the elements of a cause of action are present. So by way of review, what are the elements of a cause of action in civil cases? Number 1, the plaintiff has a right to be protected under the law. Number 2, the defendant has an obligation to respect such right. Number 3, there is a violation of the plaintiff's right. The violation was committed by the defendant causing damage or injury to the plaintiff. Tatandaan nyo yun, those are the 3 elements of a cause of action. Itong failure to state a cause of action, ito yung makikita na kaagad ng judge on the face of the complaint if there is a cause of action or not. Sa regular procedure, this is an affirmative defense. Number 8, non-submission of certification against forum shopping. This is not one of the grounds for a motion to dismiss under regular procedure, Rule 15. Under Rule 7, Section 5, it is a ground for motion to dismiss upon motion and hearing. Kasi nakalagay mismo sa regular procedure, failure to comply with the submission of a certification of non-forum shopping shall not be curable by mere amendment of the complaint or other initiatory pleading, but shall be a cause for the dismissal of the case without prejudice, unless otherwise provided upon motion and after hearing. And the last ground for dismissal is lack of compliance with a condition precedent such as absence of barangay conciliation, among others. Pag-usapan natin yung answer. Within 30 calendar days from service of summons, dapat mag-file ng answer ang defendant. Pareho rin to sa regular procedure, 30 calendar days. Ano yung dapat nakalagay sa answer? A, ganun din katulad din dun sa plaintiff. Dapat may judicial affidavits at yung pangalan ng mga affiant sa judicial affidavits ay nakalagay mismo dun sa answer. I-attach yung JA, yung judicial affidavit sa answer. Kung hindi kasama yung JA, hindi ito mako-consider ng court. Even if it is submitted late, hindi yan i-consider ng court. Letter B, dapat nakalagay din sa answer yung summary of statements in the judicial affidavit. Letter C, the documentary and other object evidence in support of the allegations in the answer. Letter D, whether or not the defendant consents to service by email or by fax machine or facsimile. Meron din tungkol sa affirmative defenses. Sabi dito, affirmative defenses not pleaded in the answer shall be deemed waived except for yung 4. Lack of jurisdiction over the subject matter, lack of litis pendentia, res judicata, and prescription. Ito yung 4 na grounds for motion to dismiss sa regular procedure. Now, counterclaims and cross-claims. Cross-claims and compulsory counterclaims not asserted in the answer shall be considered barred. Counterclaims within the coverage of this rule, if at the time the action is commenced, the defendant possesses a claim against the plaintiff. Letter A, that is within the coverage of this rule, exclusive of interest and cost. So, dapat yung counterclaim sakop dun sa jurisdiction ng first level court under small claims. Letter B, it arises out of the same transaction or event that is the subject matter of the plaintiff's claim. Yan yung main characteristic ng compulsory counterclaim. Letter C, it does not require for its adjudication the joinder of third parties, and D, is not the subject of another pending action. The claim shall be filed as a counterclaim in the answer. Otherwise, pag hindi ito nilagay ng defendant sa answer, it shall be barred. Hindi na pwedeng i-raise ng defendant either here in this case or in another case. Sa permissive counterclaim naman, the defendant may also elect to file a counterclaim against the plaintiff that does not arise out of the same transaction or occurrence, provided that the amount and nature thereof are within the coverage of this rule and the prescribed docket and other legal fees are paid. Kung ang defendant ay meron ding claim sa plaintiff na walang koneksyon tungkol dun sa subject matter ng complaint, pwede rin niya itong i-file. Pero this will be a permissive counterclaim na may kasamang filing fee. This is really a separate action, pero ang purpose ng rules is to facilitate the proceedings as much as possible. And since the parties are the same, pwede itong isama as a permissive counterclaim. Of course, dapat yung permissive counterclaim is within the jurisdictional amount under this rule. Meron din siyang provision tungkol sa excess amount waived. Any amount pleaded in a counterclaim in excess of 2 million pesos, excluding interest and cost, shall be deemed waived. So kung lampas-lampas sa 2 million pesos, ang i-award lang kung nanalo, ang either party will be up to 2 million pesos only. Pwedeng i-raise ng defendant sa kanyang counterclaim mas malaking amount, kaya lang it will be useless because it will not be awarded. Hanggang 2 million pesos lang. Tako naman tayo sa reply. All new matters alleged in the answer shall be deemed controverted. Ganyan din sa regular procedure, hindi mo talaga kailangan as a general rule na mag-file ng reply. The plaintiff may file a reply to any counterclaim only when an actionable document is attached to the answer. So yan, tatandaan ninyo yung definition of an actionable document. It is the document upon which the cause of action is based. The reply shall be filed within 10 calendar days from receipt of the answer. Kung hindi sumagot ang defendant, judgment will be rendered by the court. Nakikita ninyo, no? Ito nasa handout, nasa visual. Tandaan ninyo, no answer, judgment will issue. Sa ganitong klaseng proceedings, walang default. The court, on its own initiative, or upon manifestation by the plaintiff that the period for filing an answer has lapsed, shall render judgment. Mandatory yan. Shall render judgment as may be warranted by the facts alleged in the complaint and its attachments, limited to what is prayed for therein. The court may reduce the amount of damages and attorney's fees claimed for being excessive or otherwise unconscionable. Emphasis yung phrase, limited to what is prayed for therein. Let us say yung ebidensya ng plaintiff ay nagka-claim ng 2.5 million pesos. Pero dun sa complaint, ang kine-claim niya is 2 million pesos. And the prayer is for 2 million pesos. The court will issue a judgment limited to the amount that is prayed for therein. The court may reduce the amount of damages and attorney's fees for being excessive or otherwise unconscionable. So, under ordinary rules, I'd like to repeat, the court cannot declare a defendant in default motu proprio. Dako naman tayo sa preliminary conference. Within 30 calendar days from filing the last responsive pleading, a preliminary conference is going to be held, and the applicable rule will be Rule 18 of the 2019 amendments to the 1977 Rules of Civil Procedure. Pareho rin. Okay, pareho rin yung rules. Anong nakalagay sa Notice of Preliminary Conference? 3 dates, tatandaan ninyo yan. Isang date for the preliminary conference, isang date for the court annex mediation, and isa pang date para sa Judicial Dispute Resolution or JDR. Yung preliminary conference, it will be set within 30 calendar days from the filing of the last responsive pleading. Yung CAM, Court Annex Mediation, will be set within an inextendable period of 30 calendar days from date of referral for mediation. Inextendable yan, 30 days. 30 calendar days. Meaning counted pati Saturday and Sunday. Sa JDR naman, 15 calendar days. Inextendable din yung period na yan. Non-appearance at any stage of the foregoing settings shall be deemed as non-appearance at the preliminary conference and shall merit the same sanctions under Section 12 of this rule. Now, itong pagdating dito sa sanctions, mapag-aaralan natin mamaya, in a short while, ano tong mga sanctions na to. During the, before the preliminary conference, the parties shall file with the court and serve on the adverse party in such a way as to ensure receipt. Palaging ganun at least 3 calendar days before the scheduled preliminary conference, their respective preliminary conference briefs. So, dapat matanggap na to ng other party, matanggap ng court at least 3 calendar days before the scheduled preliminary conference. Kung sinerve ito sa other party less than 3 calendar days, it is as may mga sanctions na to. It is as if the party did not attend the preliminary conference. Anong pagkakaiba ba ng preliminary conference at saka pre-trial conference, pre-trial hearing? Wala talaga silang pagkakaiba. Kaya lang, pag narinig natin preliminary conference, alam natin na it is under the expedited rules. Kapag narinig natin pre-trial, it is under regular procedure. Ano naman ang ilalagay sa preliminary conference brief? Among others, sabi dito, so at the minimum, ito yung dapat ilagay. A. Summary of admitted facts. B. Summary of disputed facts and proposals for stipulations on the disputed facts. C. Statement of factual and legal issues. And D. A list of testimonial, object, and other documentary evidence offered in support of the parties' claims or defenses and their markings, if any. O, ito na yung sanction. Failure to submit a preliminary conference brief within the period given, meaning natanggap ng other party at natanggap ng court at least 3 days before, shall merit the same sanction as non-appearance at the preliminary conference. So, tingnan natin to, no? Appearance at preliminary conference. Kailangan mag-appear both the parties and their counsel sa 3 settings: preliminary conference, court annex mediation, and judicial dispute resolution. Pag hindi nag-appear, dapat may valid excuse for acts of God or force majeure or duly substantiated physical inability to go to court. Pwede bang mag-appear ang representative? Pwede, kaya lang yung representative na yon dapat may special power of attorney if an individual is being represented, or there must be a board resolution if a corporation is being represented. To do the following: number 1, enter into an amicable settlement. 2, submit to alternative modes of dispute resolution. 3, enter into stipulations or admissions of facts and documents. And it further states, an authority which fails to include all these acts shall be ineffective, and the party represented shall be deemed absent. Kasi nga naman, madedelay yung proceedings. It is as if there was no representative kasi hindi matutuloy, hindi siya makaka-enter into an amicable settlement. Hindi siya agree to submit to alternative modes of dispute resolution. Hindi siya pwedeng mag-enter into stipulations or admissions. So, baliwala lang yung presence niya. May provision tungkol sa failure to appear. If there was due notice but the plaintiff and or counsel did not appear, the complaint will be dismissed. Importante, dapat may due notice. Dapat natanggap ng plaintiff and counsel yung notice. Either in any way, pwedeng by email, kung yan yung pinag-agrihan nila, o kaya by registered mail, natanggap. Okay? So, madi-dismiss yung complaint. Bakit? Kasi yung plaintiff ang nag-file ng case tapos hindi siya darating. Parang binabaliwala lang niya yung complaint niya. So, siguro sasabihin ng court, bakit ka pa nag-file ng complaint? Hindi ka naman interesado. So, the case will be dismissed. The defendant who appears in the absence of the plaintiff shall be entitled to judgment on the counterclaim. So, all cross-claims shall be dismissed if a sole defendant and or his counsel fail to appear at the preliminary conference. The plaintiff shall be entitled to judgment. This rule shall not apply where one or two or more of the defendants sued under a common cause of action and who had pleaded a common defense shall appear at the preliminary conference. In this case, kung yung defendant yung hindi nag-appear, then the plaintiff will be entitled to judgment. Wala na itong hearing, wala ng presentation of evidence. Ito yung reason kung bakit bawal ang motion to declare the defendant in default. Hindi kailangan ng motion na yon because of this provision. Preliminary conference order. After the preliminary conference, the issues having been joined, meaning na-identify na yung issues na paglalabanan ng mga parties, whether these are legal issues or factual issues. The court shall issue a preliminary conference order referring the parties to the mandatory CAM and JDR. Now, the court may declare the case submitted for judgment in the same preliminary conference order if after stipulations and admissions, hindi na kailangan ng trial. In this event, the court shall render judgment within 30 days from the issuance of the order. Hindi pwedeng mag-file ng motion for reconsideration or petition for certiorari, prohibition, or mandamus, but may be among the matters raised in the appeal after a judgment on the merits. Now, if the court finds that kailangan ng position paper, i-order niya yung parties to submit a position paper within 10 calendar days from receipt of the preliminary conference order. Wala nang ibang order na issue. It is going to be incorporated in the preliminary conference order. And no other judicial affidavits or evidence will be admitted even if filed with the position papers. So within 30 calendar days from receipt by the court of the mediator's report or the JDR report and the parties failed to reach an amicable settlement, the court will render judgment. But if the court shall find it necessary to clarify certain matters, the court will issue an order specifying the matters to be clarified and require the parties to submit additional JAs or other evidence if necessary within 10 calendar days from receipt of the order. The judgment will be rendered within 15 calendar days after receipt of the last clarificatory judicial affidavits or the expiration of the period for filing the same. The court shall not resort to clarificatory procedure to gain time for the rendition of judgment. In this situation, there will be no trial. Gusto ko naman i-highlight mga important procedural points in criminal cases. How is a criminal case commenced? The filing of criminal cases governed by the rule on summary procedure shall be either by complaint or by information. The complaint shall be accompanied by the judicial affidavits of the complainant and of his or her witnesses in such number of copies as there are accused plus 1 copy for the court. So ito, kakaiba. Kapag dating sa procedure na to, This is criminal cases kailangan may judicial affidavits. In ordinary procedure, dun sa civil cases, may kasamang judicial affidavits. Pero kapag criminal cases, wala namang kasamang judicial affidavits. Ang meron doon will be the affidavit submitted by the parties during preliminary investigation, which will be forwarded to the court together with the information. Pero tatandaan ninyo, sa summary procedure, dapat may judicial affidavits na naka-attach sa complaint. Okay. The complaint or information and other submissions of the parties may be filed with the court and served on the adverse parties, and judgments, resolutions, orders, and other court processes may be served electronically with their consent. Ano na ngayon yung duty ng court pagdating sa judicial affidavits? If commenced by complaint, on the basis of the complaint and the judicial affidavits and other evidence accompanying the same, pag-aaralan to ng judge, and the court may dismiss the case outright for lack of probable cause and order the release of the accused in custody. Dito na yung agad i-determine ng court by looking at the complaint itself. Okay, dismissible ba to? Hindi na kailangan ng motion. I-dismiss na to ng court outright. Letter B. If it is commenced by information or is not dismissed pursuant to paragraph A, which we just discussed, the court shall issue an order which, together with copies of the resolution of the investigating officer and copies of the judicial affidavits and other evidence submitted by the prosecution, shall require the accused to submit a judicial counter affidavit, his judicial counter affidavit, and the judicial affidavits of his or her witnesses. And this must be done within 15 calendar days from receipt of the order. The accused shall serve copies on the private complainant and the public prosecutor within the same period. Except on rebuttal, no witness shall be allowed to testify unless his or her judicial affidavit was submitted in accordance with this provision. The judicial affidavit shall take the place of the direct testimony of the witness. Dito, pagdating sa criminal cases, magkakaroon ng trial. Unlike in civil cases, now, hindi magkakaroon ng trial. Yun yung isang napaka-importanting pagkakaiba ng civil cases at criminal cases under this procedure. To continue, instead of judicial affidavits, the prosecution may submit the written sworn statements of the complainant and or the witnesses prepared by the law enforcement agents assigned to the case or the affidavit submitted to the public prosecutor during preliminary investigation. If the prosecution chooses this option, the prosecutor shall not be allowed to ask additional direct examination questions of the complainant and or witnesses except for meritorious reasons. The sworn statements and affidavits shall stand as direct testimony, supplemented by additional direct examination if allowed by the court. Let's go to determination of probable cause. Upon receipt of the accused's judicial counter affidavit and or the judicial affidavits of his or her witnesses, or the lapse of the period given for the submission thereof, the court shall determine if probable cause exists to hold the accused for trial. This is the duty of the judge. Babasahin niya, pag-aaralan niya agad yung affidavit, counter affidavit, and determine, pwede na bang i-dismiss ito? So, nandito na agad yung determination of probable cause. Kaya hindi na pwedeng mag-file ng motion for judicial determination of probable cause because this is automatically done by the judge. If the court finds that no probable cause exists, it will order the dismissal of the case and the immediate release of the accused if in custody. But if the court finds that probable cause exists, the court shall set the case for arraignment and pre-trial. The detained accused, if the period for submission of judicial affidavits and other evidence has not yet lapsed, and no submission has been made on the date set for arraignment and pre-trial, the court may proceed with the arraignment if the accused waives the court's consideration of his judicial counter affidavit and or judicial affidavits of his witness in the determination of probable cause. Okay, so for purposes of probable cause determination, pwede nang hindi mo na mag-submit yung accused ng judicial counter affidavit and those of his witnesses kung gusto na niyang ma-determine agad ng judge kung merong probable cause or not. But he is not waiving it because the submission of such judicial counter affidavit and or judicial affidavits shall be allowed within a fresh period of 10 days from the date of arraignment and pre-trial. Pagdating naman sa arrest, the court shall not issue a warrant for the arrest of the accused in criminal cases governed by the rule on summary procedure. So walang warrant of arrest pagdating sa summary procedure except for failure to appear despite due notice whenever required by the court. The release of the person arrested shall either be on bail or on his own recognizance or that of a responsible citizen, acceptable to the court. Kung hindi ma-serve yung warrant of arrest because he could not be located, the court will issue an order archiving the case. Once the law enforcement agency entrusted with service of the warrant files a return to that effect, and or after 6 months from the issuance of the warrant of arrest, there being no return filed by the law enforcement agency. Arraignment and pre-trial. Upon receipt of the case, the court shall set the arraignment and pre-trial within 10 calendar days kung detained yung accused, within 30 calendar days kung hindi detained yung accused. Sino ang dapat mag-attend nung arraignment and pre-trial? Yung arraignment and pre-trial sa isang araw lang yan. After arraignment, immediately there will be a pre-trial. So, dapat mag-attend ang lahat ng mga sumusunod. The accused, his or her counsel, all defense witnesses, the private complainant, the witnesses of the private complainant, the public prosecutor, and private prosecutor were allowed, the law enforcement agents assigned to the case. Before arraigning the accused, the court shall inquire into the possibility of a plea bargain between the parties. Yung mga cases under this rule, pwedeng magkaroon ng plea bargaining. Mag-enter ng plea of guilty yung accused sa lesser offense. Kung walang plea bargaining, matutuloy ang arraignment based on the original charge. Kung nag-plea of guilty ang akusado based on the original charge, sentencing na kaagad. The court will issue a sentence, will declare a sentence. There will be judgment immediately. But if the accused offers to plead guilty to a lesser offense, the consent of the public prosecutor and the private complainant or the law enforcement agent assigned to the case in victimless crimes shall be secured unless the latter are absent despite notice, in which case the consent of the public prosecutor shall suffice. After arraignment, the court shall conduct the pre-trial conference in accordance with the revised guidelines for continuous trial of criminal cases. Importante tandaan, if the accused makes an admission, the admission should be reduced into writing, and it should be signed by the accused and the defense counsel. If not, then the admission shall not be considered. It shall not be used against the accused. Trial and formal offer. At the trial, the testimonies of witnesses shall consist of the written statements under oath given to law enforcement agents. Ayun yung mga sinumpang salaysay na ginawa nila before the law enforcement officer, yung mga affidavits na sinabit nila, or judicial affidavits. Ayun yung magiging direct examination subject to cross-examination, redirect, and recross examination. If any affiant fails to testify, his affidavit shall not be considered as competent evidence, but the adverse party may use it for any admissible purposes such as to impeach, to be used as impeaching evidence. Now, except on rebuttal, no witness shall be allowed to testify unless his or her affidavit was previously submitted to the court. How much time does the prosecution have to present evidence? 60 days. On the last day of presentation of evidence, dapat mag-make siya ng formal offer of evidence orally. The other party will make comments or opposition orally also. And then, the prosecution will rest its case, and the defense will be allowed to present evidence according to the dates agreed upon, which must be completed also within 60 calendar days. And then pag natapos na yung defense evidence, yung defendant's counsel or accused counsel should now make an oral offer of evidence. The other adverse party, the prosecution, will make verbal comments, and then the court will immediately resolve the formal offer of evidence. Kung magpe-present ng rebuttal evidence yung prosecution, meron siyang 15 days, and then magpo-formal offer of evidence din siya. Motion for postponement, hindi ito i-allow as a general rule. It will be presumed dilatory. It will be denied. But there are 3 situations when it may be allowed: acts of God, force majeure, or duly substantiated physical inability of the counsel or witness. Kung pumayag ang court sa postponement, hindi madadagdagan yung trial dates. It will still be the same. And then, the court will render judgment and promulgate the judgment not later than 30 calendar days from the court's action on the last presenting party's offer of evidence. May appeal ba sa summary procedure? Meron. Follow the procedure for ordinary appeal. So, first level courts, ang appeal ay sa regional trial court. Papaano? Magfa-file ng notice of appeal. And the remedy from judgment on appeal, hindi na pwedeng mag-appeal pagkatapos ng judgment ng regional trial court on appeal. The judgment will be final, executory, and unappealable. Ano naman yung rule sa small claims? Sinabi na natin na these are the first level courts. Ang cases will be for sum of money, maximum 1 million pesos. Plaintiff is the one who files the case. Pwede ring plaintiff yung defendant on the counterclaim. Pareho din yung rule sa ordinary procedure. The defendant is the party against whom the case is filed. Pwede rin siyang, the term includes a plaintiff against whom a defendant has filed a counterclaim. Yung person, as defined, pwedeng individual or a juridical entity, such as a corporation. Pag sinabing individual in the rules, ito yung natural person. Motion, this is a request of a party. Good cause means circumstances sufficient to justify the requested order. Affidavit means a written statement or declaration of facts under oath. And then business of lending refers to any lending activity pursued with regularity, kaya business. Business of banking refers to the business of lending funds obtained in the form of deposits. Now, how do you commence a small claim? You file a statement of claim. This is verified and there must be a certification against forum shopping. Yung mga documents na i-attach, dapat certified photocopies. Ito yung mga dokumentong yon: actionable documents, subject of the claim, affidavits of the witnesses, other evidence to support the claim, with as many copies as there are defendants. No evidence shall be allowed during the hearing which was not attached to or submitted together with a statement of claim unless good cause is shown for admission of additional evidence. So, the rule is, dapat lahat ng ebidensya naka-attach na kaagad dun sa initiatory pleading, sa statement of claim. That is really the complaint. Now, anong dapat ilagay sa statement of claim? If the plaintiff is engaged in the business of lending, banking, and similar activities, that must be stated. The number of small claims cases filed within the calendar year regardless of judicial station. Kung juridical entity, Like a corporation, there must be a board resolution or secretary certificate authorizing the person to file the claim. It must be attached to the statement of claim. Wala nang ibang pleading ang isasubmit kung hindi ang statement of claim para umpisahan ang kaso. Saan naman ang venue? The regular rules on venue will apply. Ano to? Plaintiff's residence or defendant's residence at the option of the plaintiff. But there is an exception. If the plaintiff is engaged in the business of lending, banking, and similar activities. So ito, business of lending. Hindi yung one time lang siya nagpahiram, pero yung talagang business ng plaintiff is lending or banking. And meron siyang branch within the city or municipality where the defendant resides or holds business, the statement of claim shall be filed in the court of the city or municipality where the defendant resides or is holding business. Siya nga naman para mas madalian yung defendant kasi mas maraming resources. Ang plaintiff is engaged in the business of lending. Kunyari ang main office niya nasa Makati pero madami siyang branches all over Metro Manila. Tapos, dinecide niya na i-file yung kaso sa Makati kahit alam niya na ang defendant ay nakatira sa isang malayong lugar sa Las Piñas, for example, para mahirapan yung defendant. Hindi pwede yun. Ifa-file niya yung complaint dun sa lugar kung saan siya merong branch where the defendant, rather, ifa-file niya where the defendant resides or is holding business. Now, if there are two or more defendants, it shall be filed in the court of the city or municipality where any of them resides or is holding business at the option of the plaintiff. Meron ding joinder of claims. The plaintiff may join in a single statement of claim one or more separate small claims basta ang total is not more than 1 million pesos. Ito din parang yung totality rule natin sa ordinary civil actions. May mga requirements para sa affidavit na isasubmit, dapat based on personal direct knowledge of the affiants or based on authentic records which are admissible in evidence. Kapag violate ang requirement na ito, the party and counsel who assisted the party will be subject to disciplinary action. The inadmissible affidavits or portions shall be expunged from the records, and non-submission of the required affidavits will cause the immediate dismissal of the claim or counterclaim. Pag-usapan natin yung dismissal of the claim. Yung court, pag-aaralan niya yung statement of claim at saka yung ebidensya. Pag nakita niya na any of the following grounds exist, pwede niyang i-dismiss kaagad yung claim. Letter A, no jurisdiction over the subject matter. Letter B, another action pending between the same parties for the same cause. Ito yung litis pendentia. C, action is barred by prior judgment. Ito yung res judicata. D, claim is barred by statute of limitations. Ito yung prescription. Letter E, the court has no jurisdiction over the person of the defendant. Halimbawa, hindi na-serve yung summons sa defendant. F, venue is improperly laid. G, plaintiff has no legal capacity to sue. H, no cause of action. The statement of claim states no cause of action, meaning dun lang sa face of the statement of claim, kitang-kita na walang cause of action. I, a condition precedent for filing the claim has not been complied with. J, plaintiff failed to submit the required affidavits, and the order of dismissal shall state if it is with or without prejudice. Magkakaroon ng summons, notice of hearing, and this must be issued within 24 hours from receipt of the statement of claim, directing the defendant to submit a verified response. Yung summons, kasama niya ang kopya ng statement of claim, pati response form na blank. Doon ilalagay ng defendant yung kanyang response or yung answer. Magkakaroon din ng notice of hearing, directing them to appear on a specified date and time, and hindi pwedeng magkaroon ng unjustified postponement. Tapos, naka-attach din sa notice of hearing yung blank special power of attorney. Kung sakaling hindi makakadating yung defendant. Okay, so nakalagay dun sa notice of hearing yung date of the hearing, which shall not be more than 30 days from filing of the statement of claim, or not more than 60 days if one of the defendants resides outside the judicial region or holds business outside the judicial region. And there will be an express prohibition against the filing of a motion to dismiss or other prohibited pleading. Service and filing by electronic means. It may be made by email, facsimile, or other electronic means. Notices may also be served through mobile phone calls, SMS, or instant messaging software. The consent to and chosen mode of electronic service and notice shall be indicated in the statement of claims or response, as the case may be. So summons will be served. A notice of hearing will be served within 24 hours from receipt of the statement of claim. Kung sakaling yung summons ay hindi ma-serve, the court will order the plaintiff or representative to serve or cause the summons to be served. Kung outside the judicial region is to serve yung summons, the plaintiff or representative will be ordered by the court to serve or to cause the service of summons. Kung juridical entity naman ang plaintiff, it shall notify the court in writing of the name of its authorized representative, attaching a board resolution or secretary's certificate stating that such representative is duly authorized to serve the summons on behalf of the plaintiff. Kung nag-misrepresent yung plaintiff na na-serve yung summons sa defendant pero hindi pala na-serve, the case shall be dismissed with prejudice. Hindi na marerefile yung kaso. The proceedings will be nullified and the plaintiff will be held liable for indirect contempt or be meted a fine of 5,000 pesos. The plaintiff must inform the court if summons has been served, and this must be done within 30 calendar days from notice. Otherwise, the statement of claim shall be dismissed without prejudice. As to those who were not served with summons, this is not a ground to archive the case. The case may be refiled within 1 year from notice of dismissal, subject to payment of filing fees. The defendant will file a response within a non-extendable period of 10 calendar days. Anong dapat kasama ng response? Certified copies of documents, affidavits of witnesses, other evidence in support thereof. Kung may ebidensyang hindi na isama, hindi na isubmit, hindi na yon tatanggapin ng court unless good cause is shown. If the defendant does not file a response within the required period at hindi rin siya nag-appear on the date set for hearing, the court will render judgment within 24 hours. If the defendant fails to file a response within the required period but appears on the date of hearing, tatanungin siya ng court, what is your position about this? As if he had filed a response. And then judgment will be rendered by the court within 24 hours. Kung may documentary evidence yung defendant, hindi niya dala sa court, bibigyan siya ng court ng 3 calendar days from termination of the hearing para isubmit yon. Now, after 3 calendar days, with or without that documentary evidence, the court will resolve the case within 24 hours. Counterclaims within the coverage of this rule: if the defendant has a counterclaim against the plaintiff that is covered by this rule and it is a compulsory counterclaim, it must be filed as such. Otherwise, the defendant shall be barred from suing on such counterclaim. Pwede rin mag-raise yung defendant ng permissive counterclaim basta bayaran niya yung filing fees. Any amount pleaded in a counterclaim in excess of 1 million pesos, excluding interest and cost, shall be deemed waived. Now, the forms shall be provided by the clerk of court at pwede rin nilang tulungan yung plaintiff or defendant tungkol sa forms at saka yung procedure. Branch clerk of court must ensure that there should be at least 1 hearing day every week devoted to small claims with a minimum of 5 cases scheduled per hearing day. The parties shall personally appear on the designated date of hearing. Appearance through a representative must be for a valid cause. The representative must be an individual, must not be a lawyer. Juridical entities shall not be represented by a lawyer in any capacity. So, bawal ang abogado sa small claims. The representative must be duly authorized under a special power of attorney or a board resolution or a secretary certificate to enter into amicable settlement and to enter into stipulations or admissions of facts and documentary exhibits. May specific provision dito na bawal ang abogado mag-appear unless the attorney is the plaintiff or the defendant. If the court determines that a party cannot properly present his or her claim or defense or needs help, the court may allow another individual who is not an attorney to assist that party upon the latter's consent. Non-appearance. Failure of the plaintiff to appear shall be a cause for dismissal of the statement of claim without prejudice. The defendant who appears shall be entitled to judgment on his counterclaim. Failure of the defendant to appear shall have the same effect as failure to file a response. But this shall not apply where one of two or more defendants are sued under a common cause of action and have pleaded a common defense and that defendant appears at the hearing. Failure of both parties, meaning plaintiff and defendant, to appear shall cause the dismissal with prejudice of both the statement of claim and the counterclaim. When is postponement allowed? Physical inability of a party to appear. There can only be one postponement, and there must be proof of the physical inability. Duty of court is to explain the rules on small claims to the parties at the beginning of the court session. And during the hearing, the judge will exert efforts to help the parties arrive at an amicable settlement. Discussions on settlement will be confidential. But if there is settlement, it has to be in writing, signed by the parties, and immediately submitted to the court for approval. The court shall render judgment based on the compromise agreement within 24 hours. If at any time before at the hearing a compromise agreement is submitted and signed by the parties but only one or neither party appears to confirm it, the court shall issue an order directing the non-appearing party or parties to confirm the compromise agreement within 3 calendar days. Otherwise, it shall be deemed confirmed. If efforts at amicable settlement shall fail, the court shall proceed to hear in an informal and expeditious manner and thereafter render judgment within 24 hours. Pagdating naman sa video conferencing, if hearing is done through video conferencing, the court shall require the parties to participate through a prescribed video conferencing platform. If any of the parties communicates difficulty in accessing the video conferencing platform, pwedeng magkaroon ng alternative platforms or instant messaging applications as long as the following conditions are met. The court shall use either its official email address or cell phone number to access the alternative video conferencing platform or instant messaging application. The parties shall use the email address or cell phone they indicated in their statement of claims or response, as the case may be, to access the video conferencing platform or instant messaging application, and the court shall maintain a record and transcript of the proceedings. The court will have 24 hours from termination of the hearing in which to render a decision. And the decision shall be immediately entered by the clerk of court in the docket for civil cases and served upon the parties. Most important, the decision shall be final, executory, and not appealable. Execution. When the decision is rendered and proof of receipt is on record, execution shall issue upon ex parte motion of the winning party. But if it is a decision based on compromise, it will not be covered by the requirement of proof of receipt. Certification of documents. Sino ang magsacertify ng mga documents na naka-attach dun sa statement of claim and response? Nakalagay dito, all documents attached to the statement of claim or response that are required to be certified, except public or official documents, shall be certified by the signature of the plaintiff or defendant concerned. Pag private documents, sila ang magsacertify. Non-applicability. The rules on mediation and JDR shall not apply as the parties may enter into compromise at any stage of the proceedings. Now this ends my lecture on expedited procedure in first level courts. See you at the next video.